ABC News Live, we have breaking news for you. Harvey Weinstein is heading to prison. Judge James Burke in New York City just delivered the sentence, 23 years.
Harvey Weinstein is one of the most influential and powerful studio chiefs of recent vintage in Hollywood, who turned out to be the worst sleazebag we could possibly have imagined. And he apparently is reaping his just desserts.
In March 2015, a model named Ambra Battilana Gutierrez walked into the New York Police Department and reported one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, Harvey Weinstein, for inappropriate conduct. Officials believed her, so they came up with a plan. They would wire her and try to get him to admit what he had done. The next day, Gutierrez met Weinstein at the Tribeca Grand Hotel while wearing a recording device.
Why yesterday you touched my breast?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in.
No, but I'm not used to that.
I won't do it again.
It was a confession on tape.
After I left the hotel, I was with the police. I felt completely positive about what I'd done. They were super happy and saying, wow, now this person is completely finished. You saved a lot of women.
But Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. declined to prosecute, citing lack of proof of criminal intent. Then Weinstein launched a smear campaign. Tabloids portrayed Gutierrez as a prostitute, and her reputation was destroyed while he walked free. This guy is so disgusting. He's so ugly. How could anyone stand to be with this guy? That was back in 2015. 2 years later, dozens more women came forward, but by then, countless others had already been hurt. And this isn't just about Harvey Weinstein. It's about a system that protected him, even when the truth was right there. In 1997, Ashley Judd was on fire. She just wrapped Kiss the Girls and was being called the next big thing. That's when Harvey Weinstein called. He invited her to what he described as a breakfast meeting at the Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills. The kind of opportunity a rising star doesn't turn down. But when she arrived and asked for the patio, the front desk told her something that made her stomach drop.
I went to the desk and I said, Mr. Weinstein, is he on the patio? And they said, he's in his room. And I was like, ugh. Kidding me.
But you went up because?
I had a business appointment, which is, that's his pattern of sexual predation. That was how he rolled.
She went up anyway, but when Weinstein opened the door, he was wearing nothing but a bathrobe. The meeting turned into something else entirely. He made inappropriate, humiliating requests, and Judd realized she was not there for business at all. She needed a way out, so she made him a deal.
I just said, when I win an Oscar in one of your movies, okay? And he was like, yeah, when you get nominated. I said, no, when I win an Oscar. And then I just fled.
Judd thought she'd escaped, but Weinstein doesn't forget. 1 year later, director Peter Jackson was casting The Lord of the Rings. He was considering Judd for a lead role, one that could have made her a global icon. Then Weinstein's company Miramax called Jackson and told him Judd was a nightmare to work with and should be avoided at all costs. Jackson dropped her from consideration immediately. He didn't question it until December 2017, when he publicly admitted Weinstein had fed him false information specifically to destroy Judd's career. Judd sued him for defamation and sexual harassment. But blacklisting was not the only way he kept his power. For women who tried to speak out, he deployed something far more sinister.
I have been silenced for 20 years. I have been shamed. I have been harassed. I've been maligned. And you know what? I'm just like you.
In January 1997, Rose McGowan was 23 and attending the Sundance Film Festival when Weinstein approached her. Years later, Rose McGowan would describe what she believed was a system, not an individual.
This is an international okay? This is the truth of what it is. This is an international factory. Every single place he ever stayed, there were people there set up to help him rip.
McGowan later claims Weinstein forced her into a hot tub room at the Stein Erikson Lodge and raped her.
According to the New York Times, Harvey Weinstein paid Rose McGowan a $100,000 settlement because of something that happened in Harvey Weinstein's hotel room. The settlement says that it is not to be construed as an admission that something untoward happened.
For almost 20 years, McGowan stayed quiet, but in 2016, she started writing a memoir titled Brave.
I've never understood why people sell their soul
to aid and abet a criminal.
Weinstein was not going to let that happen. He hired Black Cube, an Israeli intelligence firm staffed by former Mossad agents. Their mission was simple: get close to McGowan and find out what she planned to say.
But he has an army of spies, lawyers, minions. It's an army of the complicit, of people that they're going to the mat for a serial because he makes movies that win an Oscar.
An agent named Stella Penn-Pechenak created a fake identity as Diana Phillip. She called herself as a women's rights advocate fighting for survivors. She befriended McGowan, met her repeatedly, and built trust. But what McGowan didn't know was that those conversations were being recorded and sent back to Weinstein.
They terrorized me really intensively because they knew I was writing a book. The irony, I never intended on putting his name in my book.
They tried to make it seem like she was losing her mind, but in fact, she was very clear about what was going on. It's a dirty world. McGowan spoke anyway, and her courage opened the door for others, including a woman whose testimony ended up being central to the 2020 trial. In the winter of 1993, Annabella Sciorra, who would later become famous for The Sopranos, had just finished dinner with Weinstein. He offered to drive her home, and she accepted. When they arrived at her apartment, Sciorra opened her door slightly to say goodnight. That's when Weinstein pushed his way inside.
He wanted to have sex, and I did not want to. I told him he had to leave.
Sciorra testified that she fought back. She hit him in the head with her fist, but he was bigger, stronger, and he pinned her arms above her head.
He put my hands over my head like this to hold them back, and he got on top of me and he raped me.
Because it happened in the early 90s, she couldn't file charges, but prosecutors used her as a witness to prove Weinstein had a decades-long pattern of predatory behavior. And when investigators started digging, they realized that some of the most powerful people in Hollywood had known all along. In 1995, Gwyneth Paltrow was 22 years old and had just been cast in Emma, the role that marked her breakthrough and launched her into stardom. Weinstein invited her to the peninsula for what he framed as a work meeting. It started normal. Then Weinstein touched her. He suggested they head to the bedroom for massages. Paltrow was blindsided. She later said she felt like a kid who'd been signed up for something she didn't understand. She said no and immediately told her boyfriend at the time, Brad Pitt.
I told him right away, and I was very shaken by the whole thing.
And Pitt didn't waste time. At the Broadway premiere of Hamlet, Pitt spotted Weinstein across the room. He walked straight up to him, shoved him against a wall, and poked him in the chest.
He said, if you ever make her feel uncomfortable again, I'll kill you.
But Harvey Weinstein doesn't take threats well. He called Paltrow and screamed at her for hours. He told her she was going to lose Emma. He told her he'd destroy her if she ever spoke about it. Terrified of losing her big break, Paltrow stayed silent for over 20 years. But here's the sickest part. Weinstein later used Paltrow's success as bait for other victims. He'd tell them, Gwyneth Paltrow did what I asked, and look at her now. And she wasn't the only A-lister. In 1998, Angelina Jolie was 21 and starring in Playing by Heart, produced by Weinstein's Miramax. During the press tour, Weinstein made advances.
I went through heavy, darker times and I survived them. I didn't die young, so I'm very lucky. There are other artists and people that didn't survive certain things.
Jolie rejected him immediately. From that moment, she adopted a zero-tolerance policy and refused to work with him again. She turned down major roles, including The Aviator, which won Cate Blanchett an Oscar, specifically to avoid him, but the trauma didn't end there. Years later, when she married Brad Pitt, he agreed to work with Weinstein despite knowing what had happened. Jolie said, "We fought about it. Of course it hurt." But the trauma didn't end with Hollywood stars. The system that protected Weinstein wouldn't hold forever, and one woman's testimony would finally put him behind bars. In July 2006, Miriam Haley was working as a production assistant on Project Runway, one of Weinstein's shows. She believed the job was her break into the industry. Weinstein later invited her to his apartment in Soho. When she arrived, the situation quickly turned into something she didn't consent to. Haley tried to stop him. She told him she was on her period. She said clearly, "I don't want to do this." But Weinstein didn't care. He removed her tampon himself and assaulted her while she was pinned on the bed. For years, Haley stayed quiet. But when the Me Too movement erupted in 2017, she decided she couldn't live with the silence anymore. She went to prosecutors and told them everything.
I wasn't sure what was going to happen, to be honest. I wasn't, the statistics say that most go walk, so I didn't know which way it would go.
In February 2020, Haley walked into a Manhattan courtroom and testified. Weinstein was sitting just feet away from her. She had to describe everything in graphic details, like what he did, what she said, and how she felt. The jury believed her. On March 11th, 2020, Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison. For a moment, it felt like the system had finally worked. But then in April 2024, an appeals court threw out the conviction on a technicality. The case was sent back for a retrial. That meant Haley had to do it all over again. In June 2025, Haley returned to the same courtroom, facing a new jury that had never heard her story. She had to relive the trauma all over again. The defense focused on Haley's actions after the incident. They asked why she emailed Weinstein and why she stayed in contact with him, suggesting that continued communication pointed to consent. Haley gave a different explanation. She told the jury that Weinstein was a powerful figure in the film industry, and cutting off contact did not feel like a real option at the time. Remaining polite and keeping communication brief, she said, was a way to avoid further consequences. The jury deliberated and returned a verdict of guilty again. Today, Harvey Weinstein remains in prison. But his story showed how power protects predators, how careers are destroyed when women speak up, and how they're questioned when they don't.